Well, hello again. I just thought I'd do another very quick video. I've been having a look around on some of the usual suspects channels. Had a look at Miles Johnston and LMH, the Earth Files. Even had a quick look at the Dark Journalist. I must have been feeling a bit peaky. Yes, I was looking at the Dark Journalist, and he's sitting there and he's looking like Jake or Elwood or a funeral director, because he thinks it gives him credibility, and he's telling us all about the secret UFO research going on at Pine Gap, which of course it isn't. It's absolute rubbish. So if you put a line through anything to do with Pine Gap and UFO research. I think I might have said that in a previous video, probably more than once. When you get people like the Dark Journalist, and they'll sit there and they'll speak with authority on things they know absolutely nothing about, like the Nixon letter, the Nixon time capsule, ET disclosure, free energy. Where's that gone? Clickbait. That's all that stuff is. So I think you can discard anything the Dark Journalist has to say, personally. I think it's all rubbish. Very disappointed to see the sort of stuff that LMH is doing. She's an award-winning journalist, and she's really gone an awful long way down that slippery slope. I mean, some of the rubbish she's spruiking as she tells these stories as though they're truth. And the way she explains some of them, you would almost think she was there. But of course, it's all rubbish. I think recently on a video she was saying, there's been a war going on between the reptilians and the Nordics. It's been going on for millions of years. Ridiculous rubbish. I mean, alien species that are capable of flying around the galaxy on a willy-nilly basis are going to have the sort of technology that any kind of war is not going to last very long at all. Could you imagine how long a nuclear war would last if there was a World War III here on this planet? It'd last about 3 days. And as for alien species coming here, flying across the galaxy, light years, hundreds of light years, tens of light years even, to conduct a war with each other, what, here? On the moon, on Mars? It's just nonsense. Absolutely ridiculous. It's rubbish. It would be a little bit like, I don't know, European countries fighting each other in Belgium. It's just absolutely preposterous. I think the latest thing from LMH is the artificial intelligence. We're all going to be taken over by robots. And I think the Miles Johnston channel is saying the same thing. We're going to be extinct. We're going to be wiped out. There's going to be cyborgs. There's going to be these little grey things that are made under peaceful. Secret base under peaceful. Taking the planet away from us. Absolute nonsense. I mean, if you think about it, robots. It's a machine. It's going to suffer wear and tear. It's going to need maintenance. Who's going to maintain all these robots? If a robot gets a little bit angry and starts having a go at you, all you need to do is take the battery out, and you're left with something like a dustbin. It will be completely motionless. Absolute nonsense. There was another thing I was going to mention now, but it's gone right out of my head. The artificial intelligence. Well, I suppose, you don't see any intelligence on YouTube, do you? So I suppose artificial intelligence is better than none. Excuse me. Anyway, I thought as a special treat this evening, I'd show you some aliens, some real aliens. Here you go. Yeah. And Normally when you see aliens on these YouTube channels, you know, it's usually a rubber alien or an inflatable alien, you know, it's so dark you can barely make out the shape, and of course it moves slightly because someone's sort of poking it with a stick or moving it with a piece of string maybe. But I thought I'd show you some real live wriggling aliens. Now, the planet that these aliens come from, the surface is completely covered in a deep ocean of sulfuric acid. So they've evolved to live in sulfuric acid. This is why they're in this plastic tank. If it was a glass tank, the sulfuric acid would attack the glass. They're communicating with me telepathically, and they're telling me to stop knocking on the bloody tank because it gives them a headache, and they've just gone red there to demonstrate their anger. Okay, so where are you guys from? Well, apparently that's they're from somewhere not too far from the Zeta Reticuli system. So are there grey things living on Zeta Reticuli? Oh, this is you're what's actually inside the grey things. Oh, okay. Because you can't walk around, because as you can see, these things are little more than blobs. Sorry, yes, no offence. The little grey things are biomechanical suits that are full of sulfuric acid, and these things live in the top part of it. Usually one per little synthetic thing full of sulfuric acid. That's quite interesting. And you come here and you scare people for fun. Yeah, more or less, yes, they do. Yes. You abduct people at all? Don't like that suggestion at all. No, they don't like that. That's against the rules, abducting people. Looking at you, I would imagine it would be very difficult for you guys to stretch on some rubber gloves. Yeah, so they don't do anything with rubber gloves. Have anything to do with building the pyramids, guys? No, have I? Have I ever heard of any synthetic materials being found in the construction of the pyramids? No, I haven't actually. No complex synthetic composites. No. Everything that's found in the pyramids is stuff from Earth that would have been around at the time. That's very true. That is very true. So aliens had nothing whatsoever to do with the pyramids. Of course not. They're actually laughing. Green is the laughter. Now they're getting spotty as well. I think the dots are sort of a bit of an equivalent of when you roar with laughter, you might go a little bit red in the face. I think that's probably the alien equivalent there. Did you guys have? I'm getting angry now because I'm looking at them. Looks like they might be getting a little bit frisky. Do you guys have anything to do with genetically engineering the human race? Apparently not. There is a sort of galactic council apparently that's a lot like the UN, but it's a galactic version. They're not allowed to interfere with developing species. Developing species have to develop naturally. Okay. And where would be the fun in engineering a species? I mean, once you've engineered one species, you've engineered them all, and they've only tried that once. It didn't work out too well, apparently. So they don't go around the galaxy engineering new intelligent species. Yeah, it sort of makes sense, really, when you think about it, doesn't it? Ever been to Pine Gap, guys? They're laughing again. Now, that's right. I was going to mention that. Kenneth Arnold in 1947 coined the term flying saucers when he saw, I think it was something like 4 or 5 crescent-shaped vehicles moving through the air. But they weren't flying along nice and smoothly. They were sort of bouncing along, like saucers skipping across a pond, is how Kenneth Arnold described them. Like saucers skipping across a pond. But remember, they weren't saucer shaped. They looked like crescents. Pardon me. Just had some popcorn. Now, it's interesting, I think, that since Kenneth Arnold's description of these saucers flying saucers appeared. Remember, he didn't see flying saucers. He saw crescent-shaped vehicles flying with the motion of saucers skipping across a pond. And because people had not seen that, or they'd only heard the story, then suddenly what they're seeing are flying saucers. Now, I think that's very interesting. Makes me wonder how many of these flying saucers are completely fabricated. Now, call me cynical, and I'm sure you will. But it does make you wonder, doesn't it? Coin the term flying saucers without looking at something that looked saucer-shaped. People that haven't seen it hear the term and they see flying saucers. I think that's very, very interesting. Now, have any of you guys or any species you're familiar with ever crashed here? Only once. Okay. And who was that? Yeah, I don't know Eric, I'm afraid. Apparently one of their scout craft did crash. It crashed in Scotland, quite near the nuclear sub-base, because you were having a look at it. Yeah, okay, all right, I suppose. Yeah, I can understand that, yes. You're going to come here, you're going to look at nuclear installations, you're going to look at energy densities in nuclear weapons and power stations. Yes, that makes perfect sense, yes. And someone hit the top of a mountain. Okay, yeah. And what happened? No one died? Okay, well, that's something, I suppose. Anything else? Oh, you recovered every single scrap of the wreckage so that we couldn't find it and analyse those complex synthetic composite materials. So that we couldn't back engineer anything. And that makes perfect sense. Absolutely perfect sense. So not even one skerrick, 1 millimetre of debris was left here. Well, apparently not. And no one else? What about Roswell? They're laughing there. Yeah, okay, yeah, all right. Apparently not, no. Roswell was not an alien spacecraft. No recovered alien bodies. And they're saying that if they did crash and these guys were found on the floor, people would tread on them and not even know what they were. That's very true, isn't it? I mean, for all intents and purposes, these things are just blobs of jelly, bits of string hanging out of them, not unlike jellyfish. Jellyfish, of course, terrestrial jellyfish are much larger. Living in Australia, I have seen some jellyfish, and yes, they are quite sizable. I wouldn't be able to stuff one in this small tank, for example. Not easily, anyway. Yeah, okay. They're complaining about me tapping on the tank again. Apparently it gives them a headache. But anyway, thank you guys very much indeed for making an appearance on the programme tonight. As I said earlier, most people that they'll do an interview with an alien, but you won't be able to see the alien, and there'll be a piece of string or it'll be an obvious rubber alien. But these are real, live, moving, telepathic aliens. They do have a flying saucer. Funnily enough, it does look a little bit like a flying saucer, parked in my back garden. A lot of these people, they're visited by aliens all the time. Aliens are flying saucers flying over their houses, landing in their back gardens, taking them to Mars. They're laughing. Well, you mean no one? We haven't got a secret space fleet. Now they're getting angry. Anyway, I've got to take them out into the back garden and open the hatch on their spacecraft, which of course is full of sulfuric acid. It's the only way they can travel around the galaxy in their natural habitat. They're obviously not air breathers. They survive in concentrated sulfuric acid. And I'll open the hatch very carefully, of course, with my rubber gloves. No need to worry. No need to worry. They heard me say rubber gloves there. I'm getting bloody angry now. Look, I'm not. Forget the rubber gloves, okay? That's just to open the hatch. It's not. It's nothing to do with you guys. I'm just going to open the hatch with the rubber gloves. There you go. I'm feeling better already. I'm going to tip these guys in, close the hatch, and they will. They'll fly home. So thank you very much indeed again, guys, for making an appearance on the program this evening and having this telepathic conversation with me and filling me in on a couple of things, just clearing up a couple of matters for me. A couple of questions that are often asked by these people interested in this sort of subject. Well, I hope you found that interesting. If you've made it this far through the video, congratulations. As always, thanks for watching. Perhaps I'll catch you again.